A teenage girl gets in a car with a suitcase and a one-way ticket. She tells her friends she's leaving for good. Her roommate drives her to the airport, and then nothing. No check-in, no security footage, no goodbye texts, just silence. Days later, police return to her house not to ask questions, but to declare it a crime scene. Now the dive squad is searching the bushland, her phone is still dead, and the people who last saw her, they say they don't know a thing. Her name is Phoebe Bishop. She was 17, and if this was just a runaway, why are homicide detectives involved? Phoebe Bishop was 17 years old, a small town girl living in Queensland, Australia. Her mother described her as a wild gypsy banshee, bright, free-spirited, fiercely independent. She loved crystals, music, and staying off the grid. She wasn't a child anymore, but she also wasn't fully grown. She was in that in-between space, old enough to want freedom, young enough to still be vulnerable. She didn't have a long history of running away. She wasn't known for causing trouble, and according to those close to her, she had plans. She talked about leaving that house. She told people she wanted a clean slate, that she was done with the chaos, done with the drama. She packed a suitcase. She bought a plane ticket. She told her roommate she was leaving, and then she disappeared. But here's what matters. Phoebe didn't vanish from a party. She didn't disappear during a road trip. She vanished in a public place where people were supposed to be watching. It was the morning of May 14th, 2024. Phoebe Bishop was seen leaving the house she shared with two roommates, Tanika Bromley and James Wood. According to statements, Tanika drove her to the Bundaberg Airport in a silver Hyundai Roman 935. Phoebe had her luggage. She had her phone. She had a flight booked. She told people she was finally leaving. The drop-off reportedly happened sometime around 10 in the morning. Tanika later told police she dropped Phoebe at the curbside area near the terminal and then left. No fuss, no incident, just a normal goodbye. But here's where the story splits from reality. CCTV footage from the airport shows no sign of Phoebe entering the building. Not at the entrance, not near the check-in desk, not walking through security. She simply isn't there. And just minutes after she was supposedly dropped off, her phone went dark. No pings, no messages, no data. It's like she stepped out of the car and vanished into air. After that supposed drop-off at the Bundaberg Airport, there's no confirmed sighting of Phoebe Bishop. No CCTV, no witness reports, no airline check-in under her name, no bag scans, nothing. Her phone, which had been active that morning, suddenly stopped transmitting any signal. No social media activity, no calls, no texts, not even a location ping. Just gone. Friends tried calling her. No answer. Her mother started messaging. No response. Hours passed. Then a full day. No confirmation of her boarding a flight. No message to say she'd landed anywhere. The assumption? Maybe she ran away. Maybe she changed her mind. But it didn't feel right, because if she'd run, why ditch the phone? Why vanish before even entering the airport? And why would the car that dropped her off, a silver Hyundai Roman 935, later be seized by police and treated as potential evidence? The truth is, Phoebe didn't disappear mid-flight. She disappeared before she even walked inside. And from that moment forward, the story stopped making sense. Phoebe Bishop shared a house in Bundaberg with two adults, Tanika Bromley and James Wood. These weren't just ordinary roommates. Both were older, both had criminal records, and both were known to local police. Tanika Bromley, the woman who reportedly drove Phoebe to the airport, was out on bail at the time of the disappearance. Her past charges include weapons offenses, serious ones. According to court records, she had been arrested previously for possessing illegal firearms and was under conditions of supervision. James Wood, the second roommate, also had a known history with police, although less public. Locals said the house had problems, arguments, loud fights. Some neighbors reportedly heard shouting the night before Phoebe left. Despite all this, Tanika claimed Phoebe simply left that morning and she had no idea what happened afterward. James gave no public comment at all, but something didn't sit right because just 2 days after that drop-off, police would return to their shared home, not to ask more questions, but to treat it as something much darker. On May 16th, just 2 days after Phoebe Bishop was reportedly dropped off at the airport, Queensland police returned to her shared home on McCarthy Road. But this wasn't a routine welfare check. This time, they brought a full forensic team. The house, once just a shared space between 3 people, was now officially declared a crime scene. Police sealed it off. They brought in crime scene analysts, cadaver dogs, and multiple evidence technicians, and they weren't subtle about it. Neighbors told local media they saw police carrying out bags of materials. One person reported seeing forensic officers focusing on specific areas of the yard. Another said the house had a foul smell coming from inside days before police even arrived. The most chilling part: the silver Hyundai Roman 935, the vehicle Tanika used to drop Phoebe off, was also seized as part of the investigation. That same car was examined for trace evidence. Police haven't released what they found, but their actions speak volumes. A teenage girl was reported missing, but now authorities were treating the place she lived as the potential scene of a crime. As of now, Queensland police have confirmed that Phoebe Bishop's case is being treated as a suspicious disappearance. That term matters because it's not the same as a missing persons case. It means investigators believe foul play may be involved. They haven't made any arrests, they haven't named any suspects, but they've taken major steps, sealing off her home, seizing her roommate's car, and expanding the search to include national parkland. That's not something they do lightly. In a public statement, police noted inconsistencies in the stories they've received. They also stated that forensic evidence is being analyzed both from the vehicle and the property. One detective told reporters that the investigation is active and progressing, and that all options remain on the table, including the possibility of a crime having occurred before or after the supposed airport drop-off. So far, no one has been ruled out, and no one has been cleared. And as time goes on, the pressure is building, not just on the police, but on those who were closest to Phoebe before she vanished. Just days after declaring Phoebe Bishop's home a crime scene, Queensland police expanded their search to one of the most remote and rugged regions in the area, Goodnight Scrub National Park. It's a massive, heavily wooded area located about 50 kilometers from Bundaberg. Dense bushland, remote trails, rivers and creeks running through it. It's not the kind of place you just search with flashlights and optimism. Police brought in helicopters, mounted officers, ground search units, and most notably dive teams. That detail matters. Dive squads don't get called unless authorities believe there's a possibility of finding something beneath the waterline. The working theory, according to internal sources cited in local news, is that Phoebe may never have left the area at all and that she may have been taken or moved in a different direction than anyone first expected. That park wasn't random. It was targeted, which raises a chilling question. What led investigators to believe they might find Phoebe or evidence tied to her in the middle of a remote wilderness, 50 kilometers from where she was last seen? In today's world, when a teenager disappears, there's usually one lifeline that stays open: their phone. A text, a ping, an Instagram post, a breadcrumb. But in Phoebe Bishop's case, that digital trail ends cold. Police confirmed that Phoebe's mobile phone was active early on May 14th, The morning she was reportedly dropped at the airport, it connected to a local tower. It was used for basic communication, but shortly after the supposed drop off, it went offline, and it hasn't come back on since. There's been no banking activity, no social media logins, no GPS data, no text messages, nothing, not even a background sync or an accidental ping. It's as if the phone didn't just get turned off, it got destroyed, disabled, or intentionally removed from the grid. For her family, that silence is terrifying because Phoebe was a talker. She didn't ghost people. She wasn't known to vanish without telling someone, and if she had decided to run, she likely would have told at least one trusted friend, but she didn't. The digital void she left behind isn't just strange, it's unnatural. And in today's age, it's a red flag that something's very, very wrong. In the days following Phoebe's disappearance, her mother turned to social media, not to spread rumors, but to beg for help. She posted photos, memories, and raw messages pleading for information. Her voice wasn't polished, it was broken, desperate, real. She described Phoebe as my wild gypsy banshee, a phrase only a mother would use, filled with love, chaos, and pride all at once. She said Phoebe wasn't the type to just walk away, that her daughter always came back, that this wasn't like her. In one video, her mother says, "Phoebe, if you're out there, if you're safe, just tell me. I don't need to know where. I just need to hear your voice." The pain in her voice cuts through everything. It turns this from a headline into a human tragedy. And what makes it worse is that weeks have passed and that phone call never came. For many people, it's these emotional moments, the mother's raw grief, that make this story impossible to ignore. Because even if you don't know Phoebe, you can feel the fear of someone who loves her and still has no answers. At this point in the case, three main theories have emerged. Each one is possible, each one has flaws, and none have been confirmed by police. But here's what they look like based on everything we know so far. Theory 1. Phoebe ran away and planned it. She talked about leaving. She booked a ticket. Maybe she made a plan that didn't involve the flight at all. Maybe she had help. Maybe she wanted to disappear. But that theory starts to fall apart when you consider the silence. No phone, no digital trail, no contact with friends or family. For a teenager in 2024, that's not just rare, that's almost impossible. Theory 2. She was lured. Maybe someone she trusted convinced her to go somewhere else that day. Maybe she never intended to board the plane. Maybe the airport story was a cover. But then the question becomes, who helped her vanish and why? Theory 3. Something happened to her at home before she ever left. This is the theory that has gotten the most quiet attention from police. The seized vehicle, the crime scene at her house, the dive teams in remote Scrubland. It all points to the possibility that Phoebe never made it to the airport at all, and that someone created the drop-off story to buy time. These are the possibilities, but as of now, there's no proof strong enough to confirm any of them. What we're left with is a list of questions, and the one thing we know for sure, Phoebe Bishop didn't just walk away into nothing. From the start, the roommates Tanika Bromley and James Wood told police that Phoebe left willingly, that she had a flight booked, that she was dropped off safe. But the more you look at their story, the more the details start to unravel. Let's start with Tanika, the one who claims she drove Phoebe to the airport. She says she dropped her off curbside around 10 in the morning, but airport CCTV doesn't back that up. There's no footage of Phoebe entering the terminal, no trace of her inside, just a story and silence. James Wood, the other roommate, hasn't spoken publicly, but locals say he was present at the house before and after Phoebe's disappearance. Some neighbors claimed they heard shouting the night before she was supposed to leave. One even reported a door slamming around midnight. Then there's the matter of the vehicle, the Hyundai Roman 935. That car, the one allegedly used to drive Phoebe to the airport, was later seized by police and examined by forensic teams. Authorities haven't said what they found, but the fact that they took it at all, that speaks volumes. Put it all together, the missing footage, the unanswered questions, the delay in reporting her disappearance, and you've got a story that doesn't just feel incomplete. It feels edited, rehearsed, like pieces are being held back, and in cases like this, silence is its own kind of noise. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Phoebe Bishop wasn't quiet about her life. She wasn't withdrawn, she was vocal, frustrated, and according to those close to her, she was scared. Friends told police that Phoebe had talked about leaving her house multiple times. Not casually, seriously. She said she was done with that place, that she needed to get out, that she didn't feel safe. One of her last known texts, according to a family source, included the words, "I can't stay here. I just want to leave." It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't vague, it was a decision. She even spoke about changing her life, completely starting over, possibly in a new city. She wanted peace, she wanted space, she wanted control. And for a teenager living with two adults on bail, that makes sense. The plane ticket, the packed suitcase, the goodbye messages, they weren't random. They were part of a plan. The question is, did she make it far enough to carry it out? Or did someone else make sure she didn't? For the first few days after Phoebe Bishop disappeared, her case barely made headlines. It was treated like a typical missing teen situation, private, quiet, easily overlooked. But that changed fast. When police sealed her home as a crime scene, the narrative shifted. When they brought in dive teams and began searching national parkland, people started asking questions. Local news picked it up. Then social media lit up. Clips from her mother's TikTok plea racked up hundreds of thousands of views. Hashtags like #findphobe and #phobebishop began spreading on Instagram and Twitter. But it wasn't just the emotional pull, it was the details. The airport drop-off with no footage, the house with a history, the seized vehicle, and a missing teenager who hadn't touched her phone in days. People began comparing her to other high-profile cases, Gabby Petito, Cleo Smith, stories where a young woman goes missing and the initial signs are overlooked until it's too late. Now her name is trending. Her face is circulating. But despite the surge in attention, the most important piece of the story is still missing: Phoebe herself. When someone vanishes, especially someone young, it doesn't take long for the fear to spread. In Bundaberg and the surrounding areas, that fear has turned into action. Local residents have organized candlelight vigils. People who've never met Phoebe are printing flyers, sharing her photo on Facebook, and joining the search effort in the bushland. There's even a volunteer-led operation combing through parts of Goodnight Scrub, people using personal drones, off-road bikes, and tracking dogs to search places the police haven't reached yet. Online, the pressure's building. People are tagging news outlets, police accounts, and political figures demanding updates. Some are pushing for wider media coverage. Others are asking why the house wasn't searched sooner. The phrase, "bring Phoebe home," has started showing up on cars, school fences, even handwritten signs near the airport. For locals, this isn't just about a missing girl anymore. It's about a system that seems like it's always one step behind. And the longer this case stays unsolved, the louder that community gets. As days turned into weeks, people stopped just sharing Phoebe's photo and started questioning the investigation itself. The Bundaberg community, true crime forums, and even casual social media users began asking, did the police act fast enough? Did they treat this seriously from the start? Critics point out that it took 2 full days before the house Phoebe lived in was declared a crime scene. 2 days, in a case where the last confirmed location of the missing person was tied to that very address. Others have questioned why no immediate alert was put out when she didn't show up on any airport footage, or why the roommates weren't detained for longer questioning, considering their criminal histories. Some online voices even suggest that if Phoebe had come from a different kind of household, a wealthier family, a safer neighborhood, the urgency might have been different. That maybe the system didn't move as fast because it didn't expect to need to. Police, for their part, have insisted they're doing everything they can, that this is an active and evolving investigation. But for a mother with no answers and a town full of fear, that reassurance only goes so far. And the longer there's no resolution, no charges, no sightings, no trace, the louder those questions will get. By now, Phoebe Bishop has been missing for weeks. Her home has been searched. Her phone has gone dark. Her car ride to the airport has been dissected. But in spite of all that, there are still more questions than answers. We don't know why there's no airport footage. Did the cameras miss her? Was she never dropped off in the first place? Or was the story of the drop-off a complete fabrication from the beginning? We don't know what was found in the house. Forensics teams worked that crime scene, but nothing has been released. Was there physical evidence? DNA? Blood? A struggle? Police won't say. We don't know why her phone went offline. Was it turned off? Destroyed? Taken by someone else? We don't know what, if anything, was recovered from the Hyundai Roman 935. That vehicle was seized, searched, possibly swabbed for trace evidence, but again silence. And we don't know what happened in the 30 minutes after she was last seen the window, where she either vanished into thin air or was intercepted. Until those questions are answered, this isn't a cold case, it's an open wound, and every day that goes by without new information only deepens the mystery. Phoebe Bishop was 17 years old. She bought a plane ticket. She packed a bag. She told people she was leaving. But somewhere between her front door and the airport terminal, she vanished. No final text, no goodbye call, no trace of her entering that airport, and now the house she lived in has been sealed. The car that drove her is gone, and the people who saw her last still walk free. Phoebe didn't just go missing, she went missing with a plan. That's what makes this case different. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't an accident. This was a moment someone wanted to erase. If you know something, even the smallest things speak. There's a family that can't sleep, a mother who still calls her daughter's phone, hoping it'll ring just one more time. And if you're just hearing about this case for the first time, don't let it disappear again. Share Phoebe's story. Talk about it. Keep it alive, because silence protects the wrong people. This was Crime Pulse Stories. If this case moved you, subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what do you think happened to Phoebe Bishop? Let's talk about it. Let's not let her become just another missing name in a file.